Good morning. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hello, Pike, all the way from Japan. Good to see you. Are you trackside? Or just tuning in? But good to see everyone. I'm a lot more awake than I was yesterday for FP1. Got my coffee. I'm a lot more prepared. Qualifying is in around 3.5 hours time. That's when qualifying is on. I do have a qualifying stream set up, so you can go wait for that if you want. But we do have some breaking news. Lando Norris is unlikely to participate in FP3. He's been plagued with reliability issues throughout this weekend already, and it's being reported that he is going to have to need a new battery in that McLaren. So horrendous weekend for McLaren and Lando Norris already this weekend. So yeah, the season for your reigning world champion has not got off to a good start, due to no fault of his own, but just McLaren. Many mechanical issues with that car, unfortunately. Sorry to hear that, Kevin, but hopefully we'll be able to take your mind off of things for a short period of time, eh? Wish you all the best, man. Do I think Max will get his 5th win in a row here? No. If I am taking it that you didn't tune into practice yesterday, Jeff, because the Red Bull is struggling. The Red Bull can maybe win the midfield battle, but no, unless they've been able to find something from complete left field overnight, Max isn't going to be winning the race for sure. Who do I think is going to be taking pole? I still think it's going to be one of the Mercedes comfortably. So today in FP3, what we're really looking out for is 2 things, in my personal opinion, or 3 things. I am keeping an eye out on 1, Red Bull, because they were dire yesterday. Can they improve? 2 is McLaren. Have McLaren actually made improvements, as we saw yesterday and Friday? Was it maybe exaggerated by them turning the engine up a little bit? We know that already, as reported, Lando Norris is having a brand new battery put in that McLaren, and it's highly unlikely we're even going to see him in FP3. So more reliability issues for Lando this weekend. Real shocker for him in McLaren. And 3, finally, is Ferrari. Ferrari definitely looked off the pace yesterday, and they looked uncomfortable in that car. It looked twitchy. It didn't look balanced at all. Have Ferrari been able to find some performance overnight? Let's see. Mercedes still the quickest, comfortably, still plenty in hand. So that's where we know they are at the moment. But can Ferrari and McLaren close the gap somewhat? And can Ferrari, make some gains from yesterday to today? They're the things that I'm looking out for in this practice session. Leclerc's driving was unreal. Oh yeah, no, undoubtedly. I mean, but he shouldn't have to be in the position to make some of those saves, you know. Some of those saves he made in the CNRSs were could have been big crashes. So credit to him and his car control. But that's not good for lap time, and that's what we don't want to see today from either of the Ferrari drivers. And Mercedes is just comfortable at the moment. So Piastri could be the only McLaren driver racing this weekend by the looks of it. Will Lando do the Grand Prix? I mean, you'd like to think so, but I mean, the way this weekend has gone thus far, I wouldn't rule it out. So Good morning, Natish. Good to see you. You missed a 2-3 practice. You were busy with work. No worries. No worries. Didn't miss too much, to be honest with you. They weren't that exciting. So, will Norris do the qualifying? I would presume he will do the qualifying, yes. But will he do? Will he even start the race? I mean, he's just every session. It's been a different. It's been a different reliability issue. So, and now he's having a brand new battery installed. So. You saw Ferrari and McLaren. Did they learn how to use the Merc engine? Well, this is the question. But I did see some data analysis that showed that McLaren reached higher top speeds than that of the Ferrari. So, and Mercedes as well. So it seems that they were definitely deploying more, or they had the engine turned up somewhat different, at a different level compared to that of Mercedes and Ferrari. So. But regardless, it did sound positive from McLaren yesterday, considering they didn't even start the race in China. They were definitely off the pace in China, and they were off the pace comfortably in Melbourne as well. So, Ferrari hopium scam loading once again. Maybe. But you kind of want Ferrari. I mean, I think we all want that Ferrari hopium right now, right? Because otherwise, it's just Mercedes comfortably in the lead. Still yet to see, of course, a race where Mercedes do just lead out from lead into the first corner. So, yeah. Can I switch to chat and radio messages? She'd rather the chat top right. You don't like it there, huh? Hang on. Let me see. How do I do this? Go Team Harsh, yeah. Sorry, I've got to move stuff about. Bear with me. Is that better? The radio messages are working now, yes. It did seem to be like that yesterday, so... Got your exam tomorrow, which will not be a good watch. Oh, I'm sure you'll be fine. It'll be like one of those, once you get in it, all the nerves will disappear, and all that you've learned will come to you. Come straight into the front of your brain. So, where do I think Suzuka is compared to other non-street tracks? I think Suzuka is one of the best racing tracks up there. It's just a shame that, unfortunately, in times gone by, and well, probably the last decade or so, really, I would say since the cars got noticeably larger, so really kind of from 2017. The racing has been poor at Suzuka, and the track has suffered as a result of those cars getting larger and larger and more dirty air. It has always been a track that hasn't been necessarily the easiest to overtake, but it has provided us some great racing in the past, and it is a historic race circuit that I think should always be a staple on the F1 calendar. But yeah, I am positive about the race tomorrow. Qualifying, of course, we know is a difficult watch at the moment, and I expect that still to be the case just later on today. But racing, I think with what we've seen thus far, I think we should hopefully see some plenty of overtaking here this weekend. A lot more different than what we did last year. The strategy is going to be boring because the track is basically newly relayed, so there's not going to be any tyre degradation. We're on the hardest compounder tyre as well, so Pirelli have been too cautious again, and I'm surprised they didn't go a step softer, to be honest with you, but hey ho, there we go. So yeah, I expect a typical one stop tomorrow. So but the racing, as we've seen, I think we should see with different battery deployments and the overtake mode, we will see overtakes here very different than what we saw last year. Hey, Straw, good to see you, mate. Is that the Red Bull livery top? No, it's the Haas one. I've got the Red Bull one. The Red Bull's in the cupboard still, just hanging up. Maybe I'll bring it out this weekend. Hey, Job, it's good to see you, mates. Doing very well, thank you. I'm a lot more awake, actually. I'm a lot more awake. Heard the FIA changed the battery deployment for this week. So they've changed the battery deployment from 9 megajoules to 8 megajoules. So they've reduced the amount of recovery. Yes, the amount of energy that can be recovered. And the problem, I said the problem with that is not a problem, but the intention behind that is that basically there will be less super clipping. There'll be less need for lift and coast into corners, less need to recover the battery. And unfortunately, what that has done is it's slowed the cars down somewhat, but the cars are still dramatically super clipping through 130R, which is turn number 15, if for those of you that don't know, one of the most famous corners in motorsport. And up to the chicane, they are losing, I think I saw something as dramatic as that Colapinto lost 100 kilometers an hour at full throttle yesterday, which is not a good look for F1 at all. Losing that amount of power while you're full throttle from the exit of turn 13 all the way to turn 16 is crazy. 100 kilometers an hour drained ahead. Yes. Yeah. We can keep an eye on one of the Alpines. Let's keep an eye on Gasly, shall we? And we can see how much he potentially loses all the way. So he should probably get to around 320, I think, at the just before 130R. So here we go. Look, you can see his kilometers an hour there. 325 is what he's at. Let's see what he drops down to. 325 to 370 there. So that was 325 to 370. So I mean that's 50 kilometers an hour, 60 kilometers an hour he's dropped there. It's not great. Obviously, some teams are worse than that than others. The Mercedes aren't as bad as that because they're so good at recovery and the deployment of their energy. But yeah. Thanks, Tony. Much appreciated, mate. Reminds you of when giving me credit for waking up in the middle of the night for free practice. Reminds you when you used to wake up and record races on your VCR. I am really, really looking forward to more sociable hours, though, for doing Formula One. It feels like forever. I know it's only been 3 race weekends, but it feels like forever since I did a race that was middle of the afternoon, UK time. So, hey, Glenn, good to see you, mate. Right, so Ferrari out there now on a set of softs. Lewis Hamilton. Let's see if Ferrari have made any improvement in their balance overnight. So, April, no races, right? Any plans? Personally, me plans. So we've got a couple of days out planned, me and the missus. It's my sister's birthday in the period as well. So go celebrate that. Anything else in between there? Not really. Just use that time. Hopefully we get some nice weather in the UK and hopefully do some spend some quality time with the family and the little one as she's now running around. So, yeah. Obviously, the work never stops behind the scenes, of course, for myself in trying, obviously, do things for the watch-alongs and find partners and things like that for the watch-alongs for the season. So April's going to be an opportunity to get my head down and work on the whole admin side, the boring side, you could say, but the important side. But yeah, and of course, no doubt there'll be lots of F1 news that comes out. I'll probably, rather than do videos, I'll probably just go live. I think I'll still go live. I'm not going to go a whole month with no interaction with you all. That's for sure. We'll go live a couple of times and catch up on the news of the week, shall we say. Maybe on like the Sunday afternoon or something, or Sunday evening, just to catch up. And I'm sure that I'll probably make a couple of appearances on the Missed Apex podcast as well. So, is that Team Radio's top right? It is indeed, yes. It is Team Radio's top right. It seems to be working more efficiently now. So, but we will see. It was working more efficiently yesterday, but you can let me know if it seems to be only a couple of drivers are coming through. Hey, Kelvin, good to see you, mates. Slept for 1 hour, waking up till shit. To be fair, I only slept. I fell asleep around 5 straight after work for a couple of hours, and then I was busy playing Crimson Desert till about 11 after once little one went to bed. And then I only had about an hour and a half. So yeah, my sleep is very, very all over the place at the moment. So how is the game? It takes a little while to get into, but once you do, I think it's very, very enjoyable. If you want a game just to lose yourself in and just explore the world, and a game that once you've played it for a few hours, like you get used to the mechanics and the controls, it's very, very addictive. Very, very addictive. I think I've already pumped like 10 hours into it, and I feel like that I haven't put that time into it. I feel like I've only played the game for a couple of hours, and I didn't realise I actually pumped over 10 hours into it yet. And the game is massive as well, and that's kind of what I wanted, why I like it. I'm playing it at my own pace, and it's something that I can just play on my downtime. And I'm in no rush to complete, because it will take me a long time to complete, get through the world. So, oh, thanks, Owen. Much appreciated, mate. Yeah, I love the Missed Apex crew. I think I'm on the race review tomorrow as well. I need to double check with Spanners again. I think I'm on the race review. So, hey, Matt, it's good to see you. Welcome, everyone. Hey, Husky. Good to see you. What's going on track, Dave? Not too much to report at the moment. Not too much to report. Hamilton is out there, so keep an eye out on his progression and see whether or not they can gain performance. Off track, Lando Norris is having a brand new battery put into his car. So not a good weekend for Lando Norris for reliability reasons. Looks like that he probably won't even participate in FP3. So, yeah, big struggles for McLaren here this weekend on Lando's side of the garage. Piastri has fared much better, but Lando plagued with mechanical issues. I think every session has been a different issue for him, and finally maybe they've pinpointed it to the battery again, and they've had to replace it, so not good. Hey, Kush. What's the penalty for putting a new battery in? So putting in a new battery, if he's gone over his allocation, will be a 10-place grid penalty. But I don't think he's gone over his 10-place grid his allocation. I think this will mean he's on his last one. I think, because I haven't heard otherwise. But yeah. You only get 2 batteries per year. I believe that's the case, Drew. I heard elsewhere that maybe it would be 3 batteries. I don't know why I saw that somewhere. Oh, Lewis Hamilton's just done the fastest time of the week, of the weekend, a 1:30.0, 1:31.0. So that's better for Lewis. I think that's the fastest time. We didn't see a 1:30 yesterday, did we? Did we see a 1:30 yesterday? I'm just double checking. Oh no, we did see a 1:30 yesterday. Sorry, I'm jumping on my high horse. I'm getting on my high horse there too early. 1:30.1 is what we saw yesterday from Oscar Piastri. Apologies. 1:30.133 is what we saw from Oscar Piastri yesterday. So no, not the quickest time we've seen. I take that back. Not even the fastest time that Ferrari have done. Lindblad up to P5 on a set of softs. So Leclerc is now out on track. We're still yet to see Oscar Piastri and the two Mercedes boys and either of the Red Bull duo. Hey, Luffy, good to see you, mate. I'm very well. I'm a lot more awake than I was yesterday. So, yes, I'm a lot more positive. What is going on with the Ferraris? Nothing in particular. Just seemed to be not very well balanced yesterday. Maybe something to do with this. It seemed more setup related than it did an aero related, more so than power. Of course, power is what it is. But it definitely seemed to be a handful, that Ferrari yesterday. And that's something that Lewis and Charles will definitely be hoping is better today. And Charles definitely has got off to a good start with a 32.678 in the first sector. Do I think Max Verstappen can still come back? After all, he is Mad Max. If he's provided the car, yeah, like many of the drivers, but he hasn't got the car underneath him. And I don't think he's going to have the car underneath him here this weekend. So the 5-week break that we're about to go into, the spring break, is something that is needed by Red Bull because they have a lot of work to do. Stella said on Friday after FP1 that they were changing the battery. Why that's not done is rather surprising. Do I think the Macarena wing will make a difference yesterday for Ferrari? It's not on the car, I believe. No, it's not on the car. The Macarena wing isn't there this weekend. So I'm looking at TV footage right now, and Charles has the the normal rear wing on. As he set the fastest lap of today, going just ahead of his teammate, a 1:31.018. Can't win with a tractor. No, exactly. And at the moment, the Red Bull is definitely way off the pace, and they're not even out of the garage yet. So probably saving tyres for qualifying. As I'm watching a replay of Sergio Perez into the last chicane, what did he do here? Big lockup. Ooh, big lockup. One thing is for sure is that I know Bottas is P12 at the moment and a couple of positions behind his teammate when it comes to lap time here. It does seem that Bottas is a bit more on top of the car than Perez, or maybe they're trying out different setups and Bottas has had a better setup than Sergio Perez. Perez definitely seems to have struggled more and been slightly slower in the car than Bottas. But Antonelli out there now. He's set the fastest first sector, so keep an eye on Antonelli. Want to see how much he clips through 130R, which is turn 15. Let's see. So on the exit, going down the second, the second of two straight mode zones here. So Kimi Antonelli, 313. So he didn't hit that higher speed there. He didn't hit that higher speed. I thought he'd maybe push it a bit more. So Mercedes are still have, from what I'm seeing, they still have their engine dialed back somewhat as he goes 6 tenths faster than Leclerc. Still got it dialed back. Funny, innit? Race predictions. If you haven't seen my preview video, my race predictions, I think Kimi Antonelli is going to win. I think it'll be a Mercedes 1-2, Kimi first, George second, and I did say Lewis third. I think it'll be a repeat of the podium that we saw in Shanghai. But from what I'm seeing, I would maybe switch out Charles Leclerc for Lewis Hamilton. I think Charles has definitely seemed the quicker of the two in practice. So, yeah. Or maybe you could say Oscar Piastri. Piastri could play a factor here this weekend, because he seems to be a lot quicker than he was in Shanghai, as he slots into P4 there. Red Bull, will they come out later? Well, they're out on track now as Hadjar and Verstappen are out on the mediums. So if you are just tuning in and just joining us, welcome. Hope you're well this very early Friday morning, at least for me here in the UK. It is currently 10 to 3 a.m. So yes, nearly 3 a.m. in the morning. And, well, we have news that Lando Norris will probably not participate in FP3. He has got more issues with his car. They are replacing the battery. So, yeah, not looking good. What happened with Sergio Perez here? No, Valtteri Bottas. He was there again, same place. Okay, he's not helping us. What? That's one of the Haas's, right? What's he complaining for there? Oh, or is that one of the Audis? I don't know what Oscar Piastri was doing. Oscar Piastri was weaving down into 130R, while Nico Hulkenberg was absolutely flying down there. So I'm not entirely sure. Not entirely sure what that was for, as that's been noted. It's a bit bizarre. Trying to warm up his tyres. So I've seen the world champion's car more on the more in the garage than on track. Hopefully it'll be okay on race day and quali. I know Kelvin. He has had some of, I think, the worst reliability or worst start to a season. I think he's had one of the worst starts to the season that a reigning world champion has ever had. And you can't even blame Lando. It's fully on the reliability of the car and from McLaren. Australia, he was plagued with reliability issues all the way through Australia. And then he was able to participate in that race. And then Shanghai, of course, did well, really, to get the car in P3 in qualifying, and then finished P4, didn't he? He finished P4 because Kimi got the penalty, and then didn't even start the race in Australia. So, yeah, absolutely bizarre times for Lando to try and defend his world championship. Not going well for my prediction, because I thought he'd defend his world championship here this year. And, well, McLaren aren't exactly providing the car for him. Can't even get the car to track. Don't know how you wake up midnight and stay energized. Could never do it myself. I'm energetic for spells. Energetic for spells. So I will crash after this and go a kip on the sofa for a couple of hours, and then we'll be back again. They should allow 6 batteries to the season, first year, new technology. I'm surprised. Well, this is it. I'm surprised they aren't allowing more, but I guess the whole reason of, you know, the environmental side of things, the net zero and so forth, they probably don't want there to be so many batteries for them to go through. But I'm surprised, considering how this is brand new technology. As Colapinto says, I don't really understand the gap. I'm quite lost. It's a very big gap. So, Leclerc, by the way, still P2. George Russell wasn't able to get ahead of Charles Leclerc, interestingly, but maybe that was influenced by traffic. Oscar Piastri did just improve there and push Hamilton back. So, as Charles is going quickest, by the way, he's just gone quick in the first sector of 32.3. So let's keep an eye on Charles. He's got a bit of traffic to contend with, but they seem to have got out of the way for him. Into the hairpin of turn 11. Was this a good lap by Max on mediums? Where is he? A 1:31.5. Yeah, it's a pretty decent lap, yeah. But it's only just a little bit quicker than Gasly. What I would say about that is that on paper it looks like it, but then you've just got Ollie Behrman, who's gone 0.02 of a second slower than Verstappen, and he's only a couple of hundredths quicker than Gasly as well. So, or not even a couple of hundredths. You're talking also, yeah, like 0.05 of a second. So, yeah, interesting there. As Kimi's gone quickest in the first sector. Charles Leclerc, 40.2 in the middle, so not particularly quick in the middle sector, but maybe saved some battery in that middle sector and gained in that last sector. So maybe a difference in deployment strategy there. Let's keep an eye on Kimi, though. Round the last corner for Kimi. He's undoubtedly going to go to the top of the timing squeeze. Oh, no, he's not. 30.4. That's interesting. I'm the GOAT. Oh, thanks. Feel like Kimi might win the championship this year. It's a tall order for Kimi. I think even his dad said it right after the win in Shanghai. Like, they're not getting ahead of themselves. They're taking in the moment, but they know that George is the more experienced. They know the level of performance that George can maintain throughout the duration of a long season. And Kimi is only in his second year of F1. Could he do a Lewis Hamilton and win his championship in the second year of F1? Well, he's in the car to do it, so yes. And especially if he gets that confidence. But I think you would put probably more of your money on George Russell because of the level of consistency and the level of performance that we know he can maintain and has showed that he can maintain across a season as long as this is. So, yeah, but he's in the car to do it. And that's the battle. You need to position yourself, don't you, in F1, in a team to be able to have the fastest fast car or the fastest car to win the championship. So, is Merc throttling back, pulling their punches? I think so, James. Yeah, I still think there's time left out there for them. Oscar's improving though. As I say that, George Russell goes fastest in the first sector, by the way, with a 32.2. Here goes Piastri across the line. What is it for Piastri? A 30.6. So Piastri, again, similar to Shanghai. So he was 4 tenths off of Kimi and Russell in the first sector, by the way. His middle sector was good. It was on par with Kimi's. But the last sector, interestingly, and I'll show you this afterwards, Piastri is 13th fastest in the last sector. And the Mercedes, bearing in mind Antonelli's second and George Russell's third right now, they are 14th and 15th fastest in the last sector, which indicates that they are definitely pulling their punches in that last sector, where their advantage undoubtedly is over the rest of the field with their battery deployment, as George goes second fastest there. So I'll just show you the sector times right now. And you can see here that, look at that, look, the Mercedes top in sector 1, sector 2, yeah, in the top 5. Here, I think they're definitely holding their punches. They have a lot more pace in hand. They definitely can go 2-3 tenths quicker, I reckon. They're not hitting those high speeds that we know they can. They're just holding it back for now. And that's a clear indication to me that they are. Whereas Piastri, this is more of that's more of a pattern as what we saw in Shanghai, where they were quicker, used the deployment in the first 2 sectors, in the tight, twistier sectors, and then they were lacking in the last sector where that battery deployment is really required. So, yeah. Critical faults. Is there any way, from looking at the telemetry available to the fans, to know what the engine settings are? The best way to see it is kind of top speeds. You can see by top speeds, sector times. That's really it, to be honest with you. You can see especially if they've got a similar engine. So what we could see, I think there were indications yesterday on the telemetry traces that Piastri definitely was quicker in top speed traps yesterday compared to that of the Mercedes. So it clearly indicated that he had the engine, or McLaren had the engine turned up more than the Mercedes. So there are little cues that you can keep an eye out on. Like today's session, I haven't seen the Mercedes go up to 320 kilometers an hour when it comes to. We saw that once from Kimi Antonelli earlier on, but I think they can definitely go up to a higher top speed than that through 130R or up to 130R. So Lewis is improving here, by the way. He's going to close the gap, maybe get ahead of Oscar Piastri. I don't think it's going to be enough to get ahead of his teammate, though. He is on 8-lap old softs, bearing in mind. Around the last corner, Lewis Hamilton, here he comes across the line, and it is an improvement, but not enough of an improvement to get him ahead of Oscar Piastri. What have happened to Red Bull? They have a really bad engine as compared to the others. Yeah, I heard one of the engineers yesterday, and he just said they've just done a really poor job here. The engine isn't firing as it should be. And they have brought a load of updates on the aero side of things, because that was where their weakness was in Shanghai. But supposedly, yes, the engine is lacking here this weekend. So it's kind of, I say not roles reversed, because the car very much did look understeery yesterday. Max was really complaining about the feel of the car. And maybe that's what Max is probably just focusing on right now with half an hour left to go in FP3. Is him just focusing on dialing in a race setup. So Piastri is stopped. No, Piastri's out there. You can see that. Red Bull might get an improvement during April break. I suspect they will, and I think many teams will be looking at it. I think many teams, not Oscar Piastri, Kimi Antonelli does a sub 40 seconds middle sector, and there you go. Our first time sub 130 this weekend. A 29.929 from Antonelli on 8 lap-old softs, bearing in mind. On 8 lap-old softs, he goes 3 tenths quicker than Charles Leclerc. There's that Mercedes just turning up the wick a little bit on considerably used soft tyres as well. Why is Lando Norris still in the pits? It's because he's having a new battery input into the back of that McLaren. So yes, doesn't look like Lando's going to be participating in FP3 at all, unfortunately. Have FIA announced they will make a decision regarding Mercedes wing? No. Their decision, well, they already have. Hang on. Oh my goodness. Max Verstappen is asked, are you still looking for some high-speed front wing? And he said, Max went, yes, but not just a little amount, like a massive amount. I feel like I need 6 clicks on the front. Oh my goodness. Max Verstappen wants more front end on that Red Bull. So not happy with the setup at the moment. Russell's gone fastest in the first sector as well. So here we go. The Mercedes turning up the wick a little bit. But going back to it, what was I can't remember what I was going on about. Just teams overall looking forward to this spring break. Yeah, there's a few teams that will be looking forward to this spring break and trying to sort out their issues. Aston Martin, Red Bull, McLaren, Williams, Ferrari, as George has gone purple in the first and second. Oh, here we go. Here we go. What's this? 29.8? 29.8? 29.9. 100, just over 100th of a second quicker than that of his teammate. On 8 lap old softs. So still more potential in that Mercedes. Going back to the hydraulic, yeah, the FIA accepted the explanation of the Mercedes, saying that due to an unintentional failure of their wing was because of them inputting the incorrect hydraulic pressure for the actuator. But I don't think that's a valid excuse. I think that should have been a disqualification. Because there's been mistakes by teams in the past in relation to rear wings opening 1 millimeter more than they're allowed to, and other stuff, obviously like the plank wear as well. And I think, really, they should have been disqualified. I think they've massively got away with one there, and I'm surprised the FIA have been so lenient. But they don't like... This is the thing about the FIA, is that they don't like to disqualify... They don't like to issue disqualifications like X amount of weeks after the race has ended, or once everyone's left the racetrack. So that's the problem. They've never really done that. So if it's not dealt with there and then, or by the time they've left the racetrack, then they don't really issue disqualifications. So FIA doesn't want to make the big calls. No, they don't, Joey. They really don't. They really don't. George was complaining about the front weekend. That front wing that weekend too. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it may have been an overcompensation for something to do with that, maybe. But yeah, I think it's pretty slam dunk. It didn't close within the allotted time within the regulations, as set out in the regulations, and that's due to not just a failure of the rear wing, but due to a conscious decision they made, and with the hydraulic pressure or the level of pressure, and like they should be disqualified for that, in my opinion. And I don't care which team it is. That's the case for any team. Like, what's the point of having the regulations and the rules if they aren't going to be? But yeah, Hazard looks to be pushing hard, but it just isn't there. No, they're still trying to dial in that setup, and they're not happy about it. Max Sani needs even more front end, and I'm surprised he hasn't even come into the pits to change that yet. So maybe we'll see that soon. Both Lewis and Charles were disqualified after the fact for plank wear. Yeah, but this is what I'm saying, is that they were disqualified while everyone was still at the racetrack. So what's happened is that the Mercedes, in effect, has passed scrutineering. So they've had all the checks after the race, and they've passed it. But this front wing element and the way it was closing in a two-phase scenario was not intentional. And it wasn't picked up in the race because, yes, it was minimal. And it was only like at the weekend, I think it was, or coming into this race weekend, that it was picked up by people online who noticed it. It gained traction. And then the FIA investigated it. Mercedes have given their reasons for it. And the FIA have gone, okay, just don't do it again. We accept your reasoning. But just don't do it again. And I don't think there's any rule that states that the FIA can't disqualify a team after a team has passed scrutineering, especially if new information comes to light. So, do the other teams have a right to protest a decision? I believe they do, yes, and I believe they have a limit of up to 2 weeks, 14 days. And I'm surprised no team has decided to do that, least of all Ferrari. But do I really believe it wasn't intentional? Whether it's intentional or not is neither here or there. I'm not sure if it was intentional, because I think if it was intentional for that to happen, I don't think it would have necessarily given them a lot of an advantage, because it probably would have thrown the balance off of the car. But I think it doesn't matter if it's intentional. They've clearly made a decision that has resulted in the car not adhering to the rules, and to call something to foul and technically be illegal, and they should be disqualified for that. That's the case for anyone else. So I think it's an unintended outcome for something that they did. By the way, Lando Norris out on track. Well done to the McLaren team. They were saying they might not even get him out on track. So he is out there. He's on a set of brand new softs. So Lando has had very limited running here this weekend, especially compared to his teammates. So let's hopefully see that McLaren stay in one piece. Just some dude out there with a number 1 on his car, yeah. If Max gets what he wants, more front end, is it bad for Hadjar? Not particularly for here this weekend, because it's limited to his car. But it would be probably worse for Hadjar if there's more front end added to the car in the overall development. But they've got to figure out why the car is reacting and performing the way that it is. I agree they should be disqualified, but I don't buy that it wasn't something they were trying to see how it might work and if they could get away with it. I mean, maybe. But I don't know. I think it was an unintended outcome from what they said. From what they did. But I don't know. It's difficult to say whether they were trying to gain an advantage there, because by that closing as it did, and like in a two-phase scenario, it was, and in that time limit, I'm not sure it would give them. I think it would be probably more of a detriment to them than it would be an advantage. But yeah, neither here or there. It was outside the regulations and should have been punished for it, and the FIA have let them get away with it. So see if we can just... Sorry, guys. I'm just moving this down a bit, I think, to... Jesus, how long is that message by Lando Norris's engineer? My goodness. Aren't Merc engines getting some change in some weeks or something like that? The Merc engines, no. So they're not necessarily getting a change, but there will be a compression ratio test that is introduced at... it's not just going to be happening at ambient temperature, it's going to happen at an operating temperature. But the thing is, the operating temperature is only at like 180 degrees, something like that, I think it is. Or 130, over 130 degrees. These F1 engines, they operate at like 300 degrees. So Mercedes may still very well be getting that 18:1 compression ratio and that additional horsepower from the engine. And that might not actually measure at that compression ratio until a much hotter operating temperature than what they're going to be conducting a test at. So, yeah, I would have low expectations of Mercedes being pegged back when it comes to the engine itself and the compression ratio, and it's more on the teams to make advantage of the additional development time they're going to get on the engines. I think they are definitely 2% behind the performance of the best power unit, which is Mercedes. So I think Ferrari will have an opportunity to work on their engine, as will the Red Bull as well. So, yeah. You want more so... Did Oscar bump Hulkenberg? I don't think so. No. No. The incident is because Oscar Piastri was weaving down the back straight into 130R while Hulkenberg was approaching at a rate of knots. Oh, here we go. Brand new set of softs. George Russell just does a 32 flat in the first sector. Here we go. Let's see how George fares here. Through the middle sector, so in his way into Spoon. Interestingly today, wind direction seems to be a bit more kind to the drivers. So through the second sector, George gone quickest. 39.9. Ooh, not quite. Maybe got held up a little bit by Bortoletto. But yeah, they're definitely... Here we go, hang on. Kimi Antonelli. 39.6. Yeah, George definitely got held up by Bortoletto in that middle sector. But I was saying, yeah, the wind direction seems to be kind because we haven't seen any offs through Spoon Corner today. They were having lots of snaps on the rear in the entry to turn 13 yesterday. So George did a 29.6, but Kimi Antonelli does a 29.3. Oh my God. We're going to see a 28. We're going to see a 28 this afternoon, aren't we? We're going to see a 28 from the Mercedes boys for sure. Tesla will be 135. Toto said they should pass. Yeah, exactly. And 135 still seems very low. I don't know if they can test it at a higher temperature, but that's the thing. It's probably going to pass at that. It's probably past at that. And if you are smart enough, as I suspect the Mercedes engineers are, they probably would expect a higher temperature test to be introduced and be like, yeah, like the compression ratio doesn't, like the engine doesn't operate at a, doesn't transfer to an 18:1 compression ratio until it's like a much higher temperature than what we would expect it to even be tested at, even if the new test is introduced, which it has been. So yeah. I mean, you would think so, Glenn. I don't know how practical that is, if it's possible. I don't know. I'm not knowledgeable enough in that area. So, oh, we have a double yellow. What's happened there? Is a double yellow? Is that in the pit lane? Is that... Oh, it was removed quickly. Did someone go wide out the last corner and throw up a load of gravel? Is that Lando Norris? I'm just watching a replay now as he comes round the last corner. No, I don't know why a yellow flag was thrown there. That's very bizarre. Behrman spun, did he? Oh, he did. Yeah, Behrman spun through... Yeah, but at 130R, before 130R. It was on the exit of turn 14, Behrman spun. So why was there a yellow flag through turn 18 at the last corner. That seemed a bit bizarre. But yeah, Ollie Behrman did just spin on the exit of turn 14. Don't worry, Ollie. I know exactly how that feels. I've done that countless amount of times in the sim. Let's have a look. On the curb, yeah. On the curb, spun the car. Been there, done that, Ollie. Don't worry, mate. So Hamilton's now out on a brand new set of softs. Let's see how he fares. Any increased expansion should be shown with the extra heat. Yes, but not at the 135 that they're going to be tested at. The extra expansion probably occurs beyond that. Is the criterion just temperature or RPMs being taken into account as well? I think it's just the temperature. I think that's how they test. Well, I think they flood. Do they flood it or something with how they? This is my very rudimentary knowledge of engines and testing of compression ratios. As I believe they test it with fluid. Do they fill up the chamber or something, or like with fluid where the piston goes into? And then they're able to test whether or not, through the amount of fluid that comes out, whether or not it exceeds that compression ratio or something. Yeah. So, Hamilton on a brand new set of softs. Let's see how he fares. Charles Leclerc on a brand new set of softs as well. Let's see if they can close that gap and also get into the 29s. And close that gap to the Mercedes. And whether or not they can comfortably get ahead of Oscar Piastri. No talk about it all. You can't help but be impressed with the pace of this new team. I'm thinking the drivers just aren't popular with you guys. That's it, huh? Hey, Tony. Tony. Did you not see my predictions video for this weekend? Audi are my champs of this weekend. I think they are going to score double points here. I think if they can get two cars starting the race, because they've failed to do that at the moment. Hulkenberg and Bortoleto have one race start apiece. Then I think they have a great opportunity. But reliability is going to be something that I think will plague them for this season. But yeah, look, Hulkenberg up into P5 at the moment with a great lap there. Bortoleto could do better, really. But yeah, I think very, very impressed by them. And they've got Jonathan Wheatley just has exited the building, hasn't he? So, which is a shame for them because I think that was a good partnership. As Bortoleto actually goes green in the first sector. So, doing very well. So, Hamilton, here we go. First sector, a 32.485. He's half a second off the Mercedes in the first sector. But is that because he's got a difference in approach of battery deployment? Here we go. So through turn 12, all the way up, flat out into turn 13, which is the start of Spoon Corner. Second half of this year is going to be fire. Yeah, it's a very long season. And bear in mind as well, we come back after the spring break to 2 back-to-back sprint races. So we have Miami and Canada. 40.2 in the middle. Oh, he's 6 tenths off. So, no, something's gone wrong for Hamilton there. Something's gone wrong for Lewis dramatically there. Correct volume of cylinder is tested with fluid. There we go. I'm learning, guys. I'm learning. Yeah, that was a 130.8 for Lewis. So, I haven't seen a replay, but something dramatically went wrong in that middle sector because the first sector was half a second off, nearly, and the second sector was 6 tenths off. What other teams do Ferrari supply? So they supply Haas and Cadillac. What about the cancelled races? So they technically aren't cancelled yet. They've been postponed. I don't know if you've seen the wording, but they've just said they will not be held in April. So contractually, they are waiting for. There'll be a clause. There'll be a set out date in the contracts for those venues where they will have like a cut-off point, basically, of when a rescheduling of that race needs to be announced by. So, of course, it's a lot of money that F1 will lose if those races don't go ahead. So they want to leave it to probably that drop dead date, that cut-off date, which when that is in their contracts, I don't know. But it is highly likely, of course, with the situation out in that region at the moment, that they won't be going ahead. But yeah, they're technically been postponed. They're just not going ahead in April. But I don't think there's anywhere else on the calendar for them to be slot into. That's the problem. So, Verstappen's on a brand new set of softs. Let's see what Verstappen can do. Let's see if he's found any time in that car. Leclerc does a 32.3 in the first sector on a brand new set of softs. Hamilton is choking us with hopium. Yeah, he definitely seems to be not having the best times here compared to his teammate. That's better from Charles in the middle sector. 40 flat, but it's still 4 tenths down than the Mercedes. 4 tenths down on the Mercedes in the middle sector. He's 7 tenths down already, by the way. Then didn't improve in the last sector. What happened there? Max improves, but he's 1.5 seconds behind Mercedes. Oh, wowie. Wowie. Lando only did 6 laps this session. Yeah, so Lando has had a whole new battery put into his McLaren. So, real shame for Lando. He's been plagued with reliability issues here this weekend. Any idea why the purple top sector times aren't popping up? You should see them as they come up. If you just look at the sector times, you will see them, but they are only their current laps. So, what is Hamilton doing? I don't know. I really don't know at the moment. I've yet to see any sort of messages from Lewis Hamilton. There's no radio messages. Maybe deployment, maybe issues with deployment. Could be that. Oh, I haven't. Speculation at the moment. He was struggling with the balance of the car yesterday, so maybe it's that again today. Will the teams be allowed to do testing or development during April? No testing. They'll be able to do testing on the dyno. So, like obviously their static platform. Where they'll be able to run simulations, but no testing is allowed. But they will be able to, I think, and actually they won't be able to in this period, because I don't think it comes into effect, the additional development for the engines. I think that's now been postponed. It was going to be come into play after 6 races, but I think even with the cancellations of Bahrain and Saudi, that's been pushed back, because technically those races aren't going ahead, are they? So the radio only comes from certain drivers like Gasly and Ocon. Yeah, then that means that there's maybe issues with the radio at the moment, because they should be able to pick up more than that. We were picking up Ferrari's radios yesterday. Anthony just improved in his last sector, by the way. Maybe a filming day here or there. Yeah, I think, actually, I did hear... Oh, dear. Oh, Max. Everywhere is just bleep. Max not happy with that car, and I can see why. He's 1.5 seconds off of the Mercedes. What is going on with the shifts again over 1 lap? Oh, God. Do Haas and Cadillac use the same smaller turbos? Yes, that is part of the engine. That is part of the engine makeup, I believe so. This has been the single biggest mistake this year. No private testing. Yeah. I mean, they will be able to learn some things about the software and how it is implemented. So Lewis improves there, by the way, in the first sector, but it's still 4 tenths off. Classic Max, yeah. Well, not happy with the car at all, is he? Not happy at all. As Alonso gets off the bottom of the timing screens and goes ahead of Valtteri Bottas. He's now only 4.1 seconds off the pace, whereas Valtteri Bottas is 4.2 seconds off the pace. Well done, Alonso. New dad, by the way, Fernando Alonso. Congratulations. Welcome to the club. Lots of off tracks, by the way, as well. This is going to play a factor in. This is going to play a factor in qualifying. That's what was on the tip of my tongue there. But yeah, I think Ferrari have their filming day still to use. So I think they're planning on using that for testing the Macarena wing. So they have like 200 kilometers to use for a filming day. So I think that was there. I think I saw somewhere a report of that. Fernando Alonso, it was short-lived because Bottas jumps up to P19, 3.1 seconds. Makes a over 1 second improvement there on his lap. As Lando Norris goes into P6 and slots in with 1.2 seconds behind Antonelli. That gap's ominous though, isn't it? Charles Leclerc, 8 tenths off. Mate, just give Ferrari as much development time you need. Because Mercedes have absolutely cooked with their engine, haven't they? Absolutely cooked. Ferrari need all the, and Red Bull. Just give them as much time as they need. Yeah, and you can tell Haas and Caddy, well, at least you can tell Haas uses the same turbo because they also get good launches with, of course, the reduced amount of spooling time needed on the grid compared to others. The FIA says the question teams have to receive the exact same spec as the manufacturer team's invention. Yeah, so when it comes to McLaren, it isn't necessarily the lack of power, it's the battery deployment. So when I say lack of power, it's not necessarily the lack of power coming from the internal. Oh my goodness, what a save from Liam Lawson. Whoa-wee. Whoa-wee. And even on the radio, he went, oh my God. I mean, so... yeah, Lawson not happy with one of the Haases. Was that Ocon? Was it Behrman? He's blaming the dirty air that was just thrown off as, well, it seems to be Spoon Corner. I maybe jinxed it. Lots of drivers now going off at Spoon Corner. The wind's changed direction, maybe? I'm not sure. But Lawson just had the biggest moment through turn 13. And... Whew. Mercedes worked on the whole package. Yes, they did. You can't fault Mercedes for finding a way to take advantage of the regulations. No different from Ferrari figuring out how to get great starts using that smaller turbo. Well, I mean, you can kind of fault them to an extent. I mean, this is the thing, and this is what then goes back to Mercedes said they sought clarification on the regulations as to where the testing would be done and how the testing would be done. But Mercedes, when they created their engine, they made an assumption that in the regulations, it says a compression ratio of 16:1 may not be exceeded. Something along those lines. It's pretty clearly defined. And they went and created an engine that does exceed that. Because they went, well, the testing is going to happen at ambient temperature. So we're going to be bypassing it. They've seen a loophole. And in effect, it's the same as what Ferrari did with their fuel flow. Fuel flow gate, the power unit reduction, because they bypassed the testing. They saw that the testing was held at a specific point down the fuel line. And then they created a little pocket, a little storage area for the fuel to be gathered beyond that point so that more fuel was being injected into the engine and giving them extra horsepower. And in effect, that is the same. Except this is a lot more difficult to prove, isn't it? Ferrari will need 2 seasons to get a good car, then 1 season more to release it. Maybe we can see Ferrari catching up Mercedes after a few more races. I mean, they definitely have created a good car. Like, you can't deny that. It's just that Mercedes have created a better one. So it is down on. It's just the fact that they're down on the power and the energy efficiency of the battery and having extra horsepower in the engine that the extra compression ratio provides is definitely benefiting how Mercedes can use their battery. So, and for McLaren, it's the software side of things that they've got an issue with. So, yeah, if they can sort out that software issue, then they should, theoretically speaking, be able to get on the pace of Mercedes. Why don't I show you the mini sectors? Because I think mini sectors is too much information, to be honest with you. I don't think it's necessary. Mini sectors, I think, is a bit... People can read too much into that, because overall it's about the 3 sectors that you've got on track. The essence of motorsport, exploiting loopholes. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Arvid Lindblad. Arvid Lindblad with the most British response. Mate, this Ferrari is off his head. That is the most British response I've heard from a driver. Arvid Lindblad. This Ferrari driver is off his head. I don't know who he was talking about. It was either Lewis or Charles. Both of them are out there on track. So, Jeff, if I've ever driven the simulation of Suzuka, the second deck of the turn is one of the biggest surprise turns that you can run into if you're not ready. Yes, it's quite a dramatic amount of speed that you need to kill off there into turn 9. Turn 8 is a very fast entry speed. And then all of a sudden you're on the brakes and really having to throw the front end into turn 9. And you have to be careful on throttle. It's inviting to get on the throttle early, and you very quickly run out of room when you make your way through turn 9. So that's why we've seen some big crashes there in the past. It's quality in 2.5 hours. It is indeed. Yes, as practice 3 has come to an end. That was a very quick hour, guys. That flew by. Mercedes must have something in their software that can dial up the engine battery that other teams can't. Maybe. I think it's a combination. I mean, if you've got more horsepower available to you, if your engine is creating more horsepower than your competitors, then you automatically don't have to utilize the battery as much. You're also going to have less super clipping because you're going to have less drop off in speed because you've got more horsepower. So you can maybe alter where your battery is deployed in certain areas, and also it helps with the recovery side of things as well. So where obviously if you've got extra horsepower, there's less dependency on using the battery, so you can recover the battery, whereas maybe others are deciding to deploy it. So yeah, it's the nature of F1 this season, whether you like it or not. Yeah. But Kimi rounds off the fastest lap of this weekend, FP3 with the fastest lap this weekend with a 29.362. George Russell 2.5 tenths behind him. Charles Leclerc in P3, but a further 8.5 tenths, over 8.5 tenths back from Kimi Antonelli. Wowee. I think definitely on the low recovery circuit, low energy recovery circuits, Mercedes is definitely going to be dominant. But we know the race can be a little bit different. So, yeah, we'll see. Is Red Bull cooked? Doesn't look great. Yeah, it doesn't look great. I mean, Verstappen's just been... He's only FP3, but he's slower than Hulkenberg by 3 tenths. Or 2.5 tenths. So, it is a whopping gap. It is a whopping gap, isn't it? Field spread's massive compared to what we've seen in previous years. Red Bull can either have a good car or a decent driver. Number 2, they should bring back Kvyat. But that's it. Yeah, so heading into quali, who's going to get pole position? Who's going to get pole? It's definitely one of the 2 Mercedes, right? Antonelli definitely seems to be looking good. I think Antonelli could get pole again, you know. I think he could. I think we're going to... Well, I predicted we would get the same podium that we had in China. I'm thinking maybe that's now not going to be the case, I think, because Hamilton doesn't look to be on the pace of his teammate. But I do think Kimi has a chance of winning this here this weekend. Have I cooked this weekend with my predictions? I went Antonelli first, Russell second, Hamilton third. I went Audi to be the champs of the weekend. and I went for Red Bull to have the stinker of the weekend. Have I cooked? Are they good predictions? I think from what we've seen in practice thus far, I think I'm on the ball there. I think I'm on the ball. Sometimes I do know what I'm talking about, guys. Unless it completely flips on its head come qualifying in the race tomorrow, of course. Is this a high, medium, or low downforce track? Ooh. You would say, I mean, you can run a mixture of medium to high downforce, really. So it depends on what you want to do. You can run a strategy where you run more medium, less downforce, so that you sacrifice the performance in the first sector and some in the second, but then obviously you're very difficult to overtake in the primary overtaking spots, which are down into 130R and into the hairpin, and then down into turn 1. Or you can go for the high downforce setup and go for peak performance, but then you'll sacrifice your top speed, of course. And that may be great for single lap pace, but when it comes to race trim, maybe not the best race setup. So there's a fine balance of how you want to set up the car here, because of just the nature of the circuit and where those prime overtaking spots are. Ferrari seems to be slower at some turns compared to Mercedes. Lewis seems to be no longer daredevil at the turns. Yeah, it sounds like that there's still balance issues with the Ferrari. Especially, I mean, then again, I mean, Charles is in third, but Charles is only, what, 1.5 tenths, just over a tenth quicker than Lewis. So it's not particularly great for either Ferrari driver right now. Here are the sector times. And, well, look, Russell is 3 tenths quicker, 4 tenths quicker than both Ferraris in that first sector. Second sector, another 2.5 tenths, or another 2 tenths there, really. Then the last sector, well, I told you, didn't I? I said they were dawdling in the bottom 5, the Mercedes, when it came to the sector times, and then they put in some good laps, and they were sandbagging because Kimi Antonelli jumps to the top of the timing screens in sector 3. Russell there, not far off either. Hamilton 17.7. So, yeah, Ferrari definitely losing big time in the first and second sector. That's where all the time is lost. I mean, they're like 7 tenths down alone after the first and second sector. So, not looking good at all for Ferrari. My pleasure, Critical Fault, my pleasure. I have a sneaky feeling that the new floor has nerfed Hamilton like the suspension changed from Spa last year. I don't know. I think they're equally struggling as much. So, yeah, not... I mean, maybe they'll... Once again for Ferrari, it's... Okay, Mercedes are too far ahead. Let's try and solidify third and fourth. Let's get ahead of a slightly improved McLaren. And if we can maximise the points that are on offer, it's a long season, and we could very well come the end of the season and look back at the start of the year when they were second best to Mercedes, but they maximised the points on offer and go, look, how important was that for them to finish third and fourth in those first 3 races of the season? So that'll be their aim here this weekend for Ferrari, and be in a position to at least try and capitalise on a misfortune of a Mercedes driver, whether it be them colliding, whether it be a mechanical issue, slow pit stop, something, you know. That's all that they can do right now, because Mercedes are definitely a cut above the rest. So there we go. That is it for FP3. We will see you in a few hours' time for qualifying. I am now going to go and get a bit of shut-eye, because I need it, and we will see you for qualifying. I'm going to end the stream. It's going to send you straight over to the live stream, so you can wait over there. I'll run a poll of who we think is going to be on pole position. Should I just put the 2 Mercedes? I think I should probably just put the 2 Mercedes, to be fair. But yes, we'll see you in around 2 hours' time, I think it is. Yeah, 2 hours' time, because I'm going to go live 15 minutes before the session starts. So we'll see you then. Thanks as always, guys. Thanks for all the new subs, and hit that like and subscribe button on your way out, and we'll see you for qualifying in a few hours. Bye.